Like, that's just Silverash and, like, when a hawk, too. Huh? Hey guys, it's me, zookwreal. I just really quickly wanted to make a small video covering the recent 6.5 live stream that just happened today. Because we got quite some exciting new stuff I wanted to cover. Mainly 3 new operators. All of them being alters. Also we have like a 5-star, but who cares about 5 stars, am I right? And yeah, all of them are busted beyond hell, from what I could tell. Starting off, as you can see, we have Silverash altar finally. I mean, Moina kind of took his job, you know, so kind of needed. And he's going quite a different direction because this time he's a Tactician Vanguard, which is an archetype that is not yet on EN, but it's coming pretty soon, I think. He's also pretty broken. You know, essentially a myrtle power creep in my opinion. And yeah, he's pretty strong, and I wanted to talk about that. So you know, just keep in mind, as I'll explain his skills, just think of EXUSIAI Altar is also pretty broken and can also do something which is kind of similar to him. For those who don't know, which is kind of stupid because we have the EXUSIAI Altar event like right now, so what are you doing? She can essentially redeploy the operator with the current highest redeployment time for S3 and also give them some SP, which is pretty cool for heli drop. And Silverash can do something pretty similar in a way, but also kind of different. You will see. So yeah, let's start. I also quickly wanted to mention that I'm mainly taking this information from unofficial translations, those being Google Lens, and also some other YouTuber streams where they covered the content live and also translated while they edit, and most importantly, DragonGGY, who I'm currently watching the stream from. And so yeah, shout out, go check their channel out. Really good content, I can really recommend it. And yeah, let's start with Silverash. So Silverash, as I said, Vanguard, pretty cool. Silverash's first talent gives him a deployable called Eye of Snow. For now, again, all of the translations aren't final. And essentially it will arrange itself in the deployment zone according to its DP, and will give the operator left of it a buff, and also reduce the deployment time. Redeployment time. You guys know what I mean. Which is, you know, pretty cool. His second talent is also pretty neat. It's essentially Gladia's talent, where all Kiara operators, first of all, they gain immune to freeze, which is pretty standard, but you know, Gnosis also does it, but let's not worry about that for now. It also gives all Kiara operators increased defense and makes them recover HP over time. And if Silverash has been on this Silverash, by the way, has been on the field for long enough, then those effects will increase. So even more defense and even more HP recovery. Pretty strong. I mean, we don't have like that strong of synergy with most character units, like outside of Silverash and Gnosis, like none of them are used, but with this patch we're getting 2 new ones, and that alone is already pretty strong. So yeah, sounds pretty neat. Also, you can block 2. Now you know. His first skill gives DP, duh, Vanguard first skill, so obviously. It also reduces the deployment cost of the operators nearby to the deployable in the deployment zone. And also, after deploying that operator that had its DP reduced, those will gain a barrier equal to a certain amount of base HP. Pretty solid. I mean, it's a first skill, you're not gonna really use it that often, but it does have some utility, and obviously, you know, max HP can help in certain scenarios, but I mean, it's nothing you'll use that much. And you don't want to, because his second and first skill are just insane. So yeah, let's move on to his second skill. His second skill is also pretty ridiculously strong, in my opinion, already, just without his, and we're gonna get to his third skill, and this is already really strong. His second skill deals a certain amount of AoE damage, and removes invisibility from his enemies that will hit, and also applies cold to them. Also reduces the cost of the operator next to his deployable, prioritizing casters, guards, and snipers. If there are no operators next to the deployable, he'll just do his AoE attack again. So yeah, it's the original Silverash skill-free range. So obviously you have 2 charges, which is pretty neat, because that means that you can immediately freeze other operators, because you apply cold and you apply cold again, and they're just frozen. So that's pretty nice. Enemies, sorry. And also, probably the most insane thing is that when you deploy the operator that had its cost reduced due to the skill, they'll do this skill effect, this Silverash S3 swing once, apply cold and all thing, on deployment. It's just once per deployment, but the insane thing is, it just scales off of that deployed operator's attack. So obviously, as you can see, Sarah just got deployed and she did this thing again. You know, pretty neat. But as we can see later on the live stream, here Silverash does his thing, and then, you know, by the way, also just look at that deployment cost. You know, and then yeah, Skadi gets deployed, and will you look at that? Kill all of those. Apparently that's because that attack is not using Silverash's attack, but instead scales off the deployed operator's attack. Meaning that if you deployed a Crusher, or in this case Skadi, not Alter, you can just nuke everything. Why not? I mean, again, you can only do this once per deployment, but again, you can also kind of spam a skill. You have 2 charges and all, so I imagine that's pretty strong. I don't know if there's apparently obviously a limit. This can only happen twice, so once per skill. But still, that's really fast. And if you have like SP buffers, you could just, and like a good fast redeploy, you can just annihilate everything. And if you thought that was strong, now we get into the actual insane part. This skill might be a little more utility focused and less DPS focused, just like with EXUSIAI Alter, which you're gonna see a lot more parallels in a few seconds. So, you know, what does it do? It increases his attack range, and also, as you can see here, his attacks change to these diagonal slashes. Those deal damage to the enemies, duh, but also apply fragile to them. You know, pretty neat. Nice debuffing capabilities. I wonder what else. Well, he gains DP on activation and also over time after the skill activation. And now onto this for the insane part about this skill tree. So obviously this is the challenge mode of that one stage in Lone Trail. And as you can see, ulpianus 66 DP. Kind of insane, right? How are you ever gonna do that? Oh, what? Oh, well, look at that. As you can see, Lancer 2, just 3 DP. I wish I could, you know, and also I only have 7 DP. I wonder what I could do. Well, his skill 3. Oh, that looks kind of weird. Yeah, so skill 3, upon activation, not only does all of the effects I mentioned before, and also, as you can see, swaps the highest DP operator's DP with the one of the lowest. In this case, Lancer 2 being 3 DP, with ulpianus being 66 DP. And now, you could obviously try to deploy Lancer with 66 DP. I don't think you should, though, just as a little hint. And yeah, I mean, what is there to say? What is there to say? Not only do you now not have the issue of, you know, I can't redeploy an operator fast enough because there's EXUSIAI Alter for that. Obviously, you need to bring another unit, but like, I can redeploy Zerta as soon as she dies. Duh. And now the other issue, which is also why I'm calling kind of a myrtle power creep. Not only does he gain a lot of DP really quickly, because he's a Vanguard, he also can just alleviate any problems with DP by just making the highest DP operator immediately usable. Obviously, you need to bring a low DP unit, but like, I guess I saw one chat message saying that robots are meta now, and I do think that's gonna be the case. Just bring like any robot, and you don't have to use them. Just have them so that you can deploy your highest DP operator really easily, without it costing anything. This is gonna break the game? Yeah, duh. The only real limitation to this is obviously that it's just one operator. It's not like with, for example, traditional Vanguard, you could gain enough DP to deploy multiple operators. But again, he also gains DP. His little deployable gains an effect where when the first operator that's deployed with the swap DP gains an effect where when Silverash launches an attack, like this diagonal attack thingy, it also activates does the same for the deployed operator. So it launches the attack towards the nearest enemy. That's because this thing immediately gets deployed on that operator. And as long as the skill from Silverash is active, you can still use the deployable again on a certain operator to gain some DP back, and also to make that operator launch attacks with Silverash. What is there to say? You have Gladia talent, an insane amount of DP generation, insane flexibility with his skill 2 and his skill 3 being really nice. You know, being able to reduce deployment costs with a skill 2, or just in general being able to deal a lot of damage. And with a skill 3, you just gain DP and immediately deploy a 66 cost operator, which will break quite a few challenge modes, I think, as well. Like again, this is made so you can't easily deploy your guards, but now you can. So yeah, that's Silverash, and that's all I'm gonna say about him because he's... whoa. And now we go on to Pramanix, which I think is also really cool. I mean, look at his design. Pramanix is a phalanx caster, which... I don't really like phalanx casters that much. I really like Lyn, because she's just really unique in the way that she's a range tile tank. And also she has a really strong S2, S3, surprisingly. A lot of people underestimate it quite a lot. Pramanix is going more on a crowd control unit direction, but in such a strong way where it's, again, just ridiculous how many good operators. Like, this is just like the Astgenne lemuen patch. Even if you get lemuen, which isn't the limited one, which by the way is the limited one, you still just have such strong units. And that's not even counting for the welfare, which is also pretty strong. So, her first talent, essentially, around her, over time, she generates these snow tiles. These snow tiles can stack on top of one another, and when an enemy walks into them, they take a certain amount of arts damage. When they leave, the amount of snow in that tile gets reduced by 1. That's why it can stack, so that multiple enemies can pass through it without disappearing completely. Also, it slows enemies. So, the second talent is similar to Blaze's, or Blaze Altar's talent, where she applies cold to an enemy when they take damage. I didn't quite get if she deals the damage or if it's just the enemy takes damage, maybe in her attack range. When she takes fatal damage, she immediately recovers all of her HP, freezes herself for a certain amount of time, and also freezes enemies or applies cold to enemies around her. I mean, she's a phalanx caster, so she's probably not gonna die that easily, but it's definitely gonna help a lot. And you want her on the field for quite some time because of the snow tiles, because I imagine they go away after she's not on the field anymore. So this talent really synergizes extremely well. So yeah, phalanx caster, obviously, as you can see down here, typical gains increased defenses and arts res while the skill is not active. Now onto her skills. Her first skill is really nothing too special. Think an auto skill, which can store 2 charges. Her next attack will apply cold to enemies, push them back, and also enemies that have been pushed back will spread some snow around them. Pretty neat. Again, it helps with the snow stack generation over time, but it's not that useful compared to other skills. It's nice to have, I guess, and it could synergize as well with Gnosis in general, because you have freeze every few attacks from her, and obviously Gnosis also freeze on every attack from him, so you can have a nice synergy there. It's pretty neat for AFK, but not too generally useful. Her other skills are way stronger though. Let me tell you about her skill 2 first. Her skill 2 is her AFK skill. Essentially, you can activate in its infinite duration until you deactivate it. She has higher attack, deals more damage, and also when enemies enter her snow, they now also receive additional arts damage. When they leave said snow tile, they actually get cold applied to them, and if their tile they're entering into has a certain amount of snow stacks, I guess I'll call them, they'll just straight up freeze immediately. Pretty strong, and also, even better, her snow spreads itself automatically. By essentially, if the snow on a certain tile overcaps, it'll just spread around that original tile. Again, this really emphasizes that you want to have on the field for quite some time. This is probably only going to use most of the time because it has nice, slow, nice crowd control of the freeze as well, especially later in the game. And also just in general, if you live on a field for a certain amount of time, the entire field is going to be covered in snow, and enemies will move from one tile, take damage, immediately get cold applied to them, and then move to the next tile, which is probably going to have a certain amount of stacks anyways, especially in, for example, Annihilation, which is going to be pretty neat. And they're just going to get frozen immediately. It's not broken per se, because you do need her to be in the field for quite some time, or you need to have Gnosis. I do, so I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, it's pretty neat. It seems pretty strong, as you can see here. Also, I'll talk about this very soon. So yeah, as you can see, she activates a skill, unlimited duration, pretty simple. And you see the cards moving in, it gets slowed, now it's moving on to the next tile, it gets cold applied to it, because, you know, it had a certain amount of stacks. And now it moves into the next tile, which also has a certain amount of stacks, probably indicated by the density of the snow on the tile, and just immediately gets frozen. Also, she just deals AoE damage. Nice. And as you can see up here, that's not inside her attack range, but you just saw it grows. That's what I meant, it spreads around. As you can also see, the blue box is frozen. And now as you can see, this guy he stopped right into front of the blue box. I wonder why. Well, it's because the blue box, being frozen, now has 35,000 HP, 800 defense, and 15 res. Also attack. I don't know what that's about. But this is essentially like a defender on the blue box. I don't think this will be really practical because most of the stages, it's either gonna be like just an emergency. If you like leak one enemy accidentally and you can catch them, and then obviously it'll help a lot. But most of the time, if the enemies are gonna actually get to your blue box, especially in harder content, then it's not gonna take long for the box to be for the ice to be broken, and or just more enemies going into the blue box. So take that with a grain of salt. It is pretty strong though. Don't get me wrong. It is actually pretty insane. We can just ignore having to defend the blue box, really, kind of, sort of. But you guys get what I mean, right? You guys are smart. Skill 3 expands her attack range to the standard Phalanx caster S3 range, so, you know, Lynn's S3 is essentially. Upon the skill activation, enemies will be drawn towards her, similarly to Phantom Altar, or Tragodia, sorry. The snow will generate way more quickly. She also ignores a certain amount of res, and has more attack speed and attack in general. So, again, just stacks on top of her. I think this is gonna be a pretty good DPS skill, as we can see later. Yeah. It deals quite a bit of damage. I'm not gonna... It's not that insane, but it has res ignore built into the kit. And, you know, she attacks pretty fast, deals pretty good damage. So it's not bad. Not bad at all. The snow spreading obviously is limited because it doesn't go outside of attack range, because that's exclusive to S2. And the luring is decent, I guess, but it's only... I mean, it's not that insane. It's nice to have, but I guess if you need really high burst damage, I guess, and some crowd control, it's gonna be nice. But you could also just use, like, any strong operator, cast operator, like Loplund, like Golden Blow, even Kyobe if you're facing enemies with high defense. Now onto the last operator, Astgenne the Lightchaser. She's a Diesel Binder supporter, as I said earlier on. And she seems to be kind of mid, just like any welfare 6-star, except Gladia, because, you know, Gladia, ulpianus. I think it's a bit bad to have her in this patch, because Pramanix, Diesel Binder supporters slow, and Pramanix Altar already slows, like, really, really well, and it can also freeze. And as Jen, I just don't see having that much of a role in this patch. But again, she's free, so it's pretty nice, especially when you're starting out. And you might see some use case for her, especially with her skill 3, which I'll get to. So her first talent is just that when she slows an enemy, she'll gain attack speed up to a certain amount. Pretty decent, it's nice, because obviously Diesel Binders, it's better for them to have attack speed so they can perma-slow enemies. And she can do that pretty easily with that. I don't think it's a perma-slow per se, but it's still gonna help a lot. Especially with her other skills, which I'll get to. Her second talent is a bit different. It applies Fragile to enemies within her attack range, and if they stay in her attack range for longer, then it'll get even more Fragile. The nice thing again about this is the synergy, because she is a Diesel Binder, so obviously enemies are gonna stay in her attack range for even longer. Now moving on to her skills. Her skill 1 is pretty simple. Her next attack deals more damage and can bounce to multiple enemies. Sorry, I think I said operators quite a bit in this video, but you guys will know what I mean. Enemies. So yeah, decent. It's obviously a reference to her original self-kit thingy, but it's a bit... I mean, it's decent. Again, she does gain attack speed when she slows enemies, so this can help her get those stacks pretty quickly. Obviously, it's just an AFK skill, so it's not gonna be that insane. But it's gonna be nice to just, you know, have a really far-reaching slow, even. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. It's a skill 1. It's an AFK skill 1. What do you expect? And skill 2 is essentially her next attack attacks multiple enemies, prioritizing those further away from the blue box. Deals a certain amount of arts damage, link them together, and then it will pull the enemies towards themselves, kind of, as we can see here. So as you can see here, they're walking, and her next attack, which is right now, pulls them towards that middle enemy. It's decent. It's kind of weird to have like a pull utility here. It also extends the slow, by the way, to a longer amount, so that's nice. I guess it's a decent AFK skill as well, just like her S1. It's nice to have that pull utility, but it's a bit counterintuitive, I think, because, you know, the enemies that are further away also get slowed, but then you're pulling them towards that one unit which is closer, so you're just kind of defeating the purpose of the slow. But it seems to be pretty nice. I mean, she can pretty easily crowd control those operators together. It's an offensive recovery, so with her more attack speed, it'll happen more often. And it's not bad. Again, it's not bad. I just think it's a bit weird that you need to pull all of the units together. Her third skill is what I'd consider the best skill, because it has some nice utility, which you don't see that often in the game. So she has her attack range expands, her attack increases, and she'll attack faster. And she'll link multiple enemies together within her attack range. If one of those enemies gets attacked with arts damage, he'll transfer some of the incoming damage to other enemies as well. Imagine you have like multiple enemies lined up in a row. So you link all of them together, one of them is a boss, and then you use Surtur as free. All of those enemies within that line will get attacked, and all of them will transfer the damage onto each other, but also on the boss. So the boss will take a lot more damage in general. Would it justify bringing her to replace one of your units? Not necessarily, but I can see where, especially when there are a lot of tanky enemies which can soak up a bunch of the arts damage, the boss would just take so much additional damage that it could really nuke them. But we haven't seen all too much, as we can see later on in the showcase. As you can see here with Kibai. So you see, those two enemies have been linked together, and now one is taking damage and the other one is taking additional damage. It's good. It doesn't seem that insane. Also, the link apparently transfers, so you could have multiple enemies coming into your attack range over time, and obviously the damage transfers, which in this case they're just two enemies, so they'll just take, I guess, an additional hit of arts damage. But I could see where this could really stack up to a bunch of damage. And yeah, so those are all of the new units. Ranking wise, I guess Silverash is like at the top because, of course, limited operators are always gonna be that strong. Pramanix is gonna be like a bit below. I think she has like some insane utility for her, as she's just a really strong crowd control. The blue box thing she can do, and also just in general the fact that her skill 2 just has essentially global range after a certain amount of time. It takes some time to rack up, but it's gonna be so good, I think, once you have to, especially in Annihilation, for example. And just in general, she seems like a really strong unit. And then, obviously, last place, the welfare, Astgenne Alta. I think Astgenne is just, I mean, it's a diesel binder. We don't have that many insane ways you could make a diesel binder that strong. Or have suzerain, so you already have a really good diesel binder there. But that's not to say that she's bad. She seems really nice, especially with her S2. She has a pretty decent slow up time apparently, and obviously with attack speed stacks, it's gonna be even stronger. So nice crowd control there. And also with skill 3, she can kind of have that linking ability, which I imagine is similar to entelechia as free, kind of, where you have those candles, except you need enemies to soak up the damage instead of just having these candles like entelechia, which transfer the damage. But still, it sounds really strong. Hi guys, Editor Zook here. I forgot to record an outro, so I just really quickly wanted to mention, thanks for watching. It is a little bit of a differently edited video because I just needed to quickly cover the new units. I wanted to do it as soon as possible. So yeah, if you like this type of content though, make sure to give me some feedback down below. Also tell me if you think that the new operators are gonna be strong or mid, except if you're gonna say that Silverash Alta is gonna be mid, in which case you're wrong and stupid and dumb. And yeah, bye bye.